Here are some coaching questions that you may want to ask. I've been coaching for 15 years now, and these 7 questions are perfect for bringing the mentee in, for understanding where they're at, for seeking out their goal, and getting them to identify what it is they need to do in order to get their goal. So let's have a look at these 7 questions as a highly effective way for running a session. The 7 questions come from The Coaching Habit by Michael Bungay Stanier. Now you can use all 7 of these questions, you can use them in order, you can just choose one, but understanding each of the questions and why they come in the order they do helps you in that session. So let's have a look at them. So number 1 is the kickstart question. It's a very simple question, but it gets right to the point. It allows the mentee to just start talking about what's most on their mind at that point in time. And as you and I both know, they can't talk about anything else other than what's most plaguing them in that current moment. So the question is, what's on your mind? It gives the autonomy to the mentee and allows them to speak openly and honestly and authentically about what they're experiencing in that moment. However, it may not be the real issue. So you want to follow up with the second question, which is the or question. And what else? And you keep asking, and what else? And what else? And what else? Until you understand everything that's going on for that mentee in that point in time. Now, the wonderful thing about and what else is that once someone starts speaking and they feel heard, that they often solve their own issues simply by talking it out and getting clear about what's going on in their world. So you can ask, and what else, until they stop speaking. They say, well, no, that's all. And you go, okay, great. Which leads us to the third question, which is the focus question. They've brought up all these issues, all these things that are going on in their life, in their career. And then you get them to focus on the real challenge by asking them, what's the real challenge here for you? Now, this question is very specifically designed because if you were to say, what's the challenge? It's too vague. Whereas if you said, what is the real challenge? It gets them focused on the real challenge, but it's still too vague. If you were to ask, what's the real challenge here for you? That allows that person to be empowered to find out, okay, what is the real issue here for me that I need to focus on and take responsibility for and change with the help of my mentor. Which leads us to the fourth question, which is the foundation question. What do you want? Silence. Usually when you ask this question, people go straight to silence. Why? Because people are often so focused on what they don't want that they don't know what they do want. So when you ask, what do you want? Be okay with the silence that follows. Often they say, I don't know. And you say, well, what if you did know? What is it that you really want? Allows them to focus on that specific thing that they're actually after. Then we get to question 5, the lazy question, which is, how can I help you? Now I have put in, how can I support you? Because for me, that's a better question. Because you are there to support that person. You're not there to do it for them. You're not there to walk into their workplace and have their battles or fix the situation. You're there to support them as they do it. So how can I support you is a great question. Now you don't need to say yes to what they ask. You might say maybe, you might say not in this way, but in this way. But it is a great question to ask because it allows that mentee to focus on what is it that I actually need right now. Which leads us to question number 6, the strategic question. If you're saying yes to this, what are you saying no to? Why is this question important? People are already completely overwhelmed and overloaded. And if they take one more thing on, they will have a nervous breakdown and be burnt out. And you do not want that to be the case. So you want to get people to get very strategic about what it is that they're doing and have a look at their schedule, have a look at their projects and decide what can I keep and what needs to go in order to achieve this new goal. And finally, the learning question. What was most useful for you? What was most useful for you? So you're not asking, was this session useful? You're saying, what was most useful for you? And this is a very important question because it allows them to close the learning loop. Because we don't learn when people tell us things. We don't even learn when we do things. We learn when we reflect on what we've done. Because then we consciously go through the process and embed it in our unconscious mind, which is very, very powerful. So what was most useful for you allows the mentee to think about, what have I got out of this session and how is this going to help me and what is it that I'm going to do? But it also helps you as the mentor, because as the mentor, then you can understand what was most useful for them and what can I do more of in the next session to be an even better mentor. And that can only be a good thing, right? So there you have it, the 7 questions to ask when you're having a coaching session or a mentoring session to help the mentee get from where they are to where they would like to be.